All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for the Common Fund Data Ecosystem public webinar series. Just a reminder that this webinar series is designed to educate attendees on the scientific ecosystem. And every month we'll have representation from a data coordinating center, a program, or center with new developments from the centers that support them. If you were unable to attend any of our previous webinars, just a reminder that they're accessible on our YouTube page here. If you want to scan the QR code, it will take you to the playlist of videos. They will be up for, as long as time. So if you have any questions about them, please let us know. We hope that they are useful to you if you're unable to join. If you have any feedback, questions, concerns, you're not a part of our listserv but would like to be added, please feel free to email us at help@cfdeknowledge.org and I'll be able to add you accordingly. Just a reminder that we also have the Decoding the Data Ecosystem, a CFDE Training Center podcast. And this podcast is more than just a podcast. It's meant to be a community for anyone who is passionate about the potential of omics research, especially around, complex biological puzzles and addressing health challenges. This is for someone who, might be a seasoned researcher, but you might just be a student who's starting out as well. Or maybe you're curious about biology. And this podcast is available to offer insights, inspiring stories, and advice to guide your journey through the world of omics research, training, and education. As of right now, there are 11 episodes available out, and so please feel free to take a look at them. Any of the podcasts are available across any of the podcast systems, and if you need help or have any questions about that, please let us know. So with that, today's session is going to be about a new funding opportunity available, which is the NIH Common Fund Replication Prize. And today we are going to have 3 members from the NIH help walk through this session of informational overview, submission process, timelines, and incentives. And we will have a session at the end that is dedicated to Q&A. So if you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat or Q&A to ask questions. We'll hold them to the end, and so we can address them all together. But we're hoping that if you have anything to ask, now would be a great time to do so. And with that, I will hand it over to our featured speakers. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Mackenzie. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Sahana Kuke, and I'm going to start us off, but we are a trio today that are going to share a little bit about what we're calling the NIH Replication Prize. All right, let me just get the...
That looks great.
Mackenzie, okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for allowing us to do this informational webinar. We're really, really excited about this prize. We're kind of in the last month stretch before submissions are due, so the timing of this is really just perfect. So thanks for reaching out, Mackenzie. And we're going to get right into it so you can get a sense of what this is. And we really hope you can share this out with your networks. If you might be interested in submitting something for this. You might know someone in your department or your team. So please feel free to share any of this information, and we would be happy to answer questions even after today's event. Okay, so just an overview of what we're going to do in the next maybe 40 minutes or so. We're going to talk a little bit about the background of the Common Fund and where this prize is coming from. We're going to talk about the importance of replication, which is kind of at the base of what this prize is trying to get to. And then we'll give you lots of details about the prize that you need to know in order to apply. And then at the end, we look forward to hearing your questions. So as Mackenzie said, please go ahead and shoot them in right now. We won't get to them until the end of the presentation, but if you don't want to forget them, just stick them in there and we will certainly answer them when we're done. So the 3 of us here today are Alicia Kavanaugh, Michelle Hamlet, and me. So you'll be hearing from me now for a few minutes, and then I'm going to hand it off to Alicia, and then Alicia's going to hand it off to Michelle. So you're going to get to see all of us, and we're all 3 going to partake in the question and answer session as well. So I think a lot of you are familiar with CFDE, and that's what brought you here today. And I recognize some of your names as well from being a part of CFDE. So you probably already know about the NIH Common Fund. In case there are some new members today, just a really quick overview. What we're trying to do with the Common Fund is develop programs that are really broad. They are incorporating the mission interests of many different NIH institutes and centers. So we're trying to catalyze discovery across the community. We really want to fulfill the mission of NIH through our programs. And so we include collaboration from a lot of the different institutes and centers in everything that we do. One such program is CFDE, and what we're presenting to you today is another one. It's from the Replication Initiative, and for that we have developed the Replication Prize. So these are some features of all of our Common Fund programs. We're really trying to accelerate science, get it moving fast, get things out of the way so we can get our science done, improve the research workforce, and support high-risk, high-reward science. So this will probably be familiar to you. And another unique feature is this is not a standard funding opportunity like an R01 or a K08. This is a prize. So it operates a little bit differently, and we're going to go into all of those details here. The topic of this is research replication. So just to step back for a second on that topic, here's a little bit about why it's important. I suspect you may already know this. Most of us scientists, we have grown up understanding this. We've grown up learning this in our scientific programs. But just worth a revisit, especially because there's more and more there are more and more news stories about studies that don't replicate, and what does that mean? Why is that? And how can we build our scientific enterprise on studies which are not replicable? So there have been large-scale replication studies done, and a lot of challenges have been raised. So, we really are in a position where we would like to make alterations to our culture, to the way that we work, our best practices, in order to make sure that the science that we do is something that future science can really build upon. So that's sort of the background in which this Replication Prize was conceived.
Thanks, Ahana. Today I will start by discussing what the goals of the Replication Prize are. The overarching goal is to solicit ideas from the public to identify high impact areas for future replication efforts, and also to reward progress in making important areas of biomedical research more replicable. Ultimately, the goal of this prize is to boost current replication efforts, of which there are many, and really encourage a culture change in biomedical research where replication activities are de rigueur, like normalized as a part of just conducting normal research, regardless of discipline. Next slide, please. So for the prize, each submission will address at least one of two of the two tracks included in the competition. That said, you can apply to both tracks or just one individually. Track one is intended to engage the research community to identify the most pressing lines of research, where the most significant areas that could be incredibly impactful in biomedical research. So here submissions are identifying ideas that we can take with and fund future replication studies and develop programs based on these ideas. Track two, the replication exemplars track, is intended to recognize and reward folks that are already doing replication activities as a part of their work. So we are asking for applicants to demonstrate that they have successfully integrated replication with measured success. So what that means is highly dependent on the field. But since these strategies can be diverse, since there are a lot of research methods and other elements to consider, all of these winning strategies will be compiled and created as a publicly available resource. Next slide, please. So the total prize purse is $8,000 I'll try that again. $850,000. So not quite a million, but a few zeros on there. So for track one, the Common Fund may award up to $5,000 per winner of track five, up to a total of 20 winners. Here, our plan is to award 4 winners in each of 5 scientific categories, covering basic, translational, preclinical, clinical, and social and behavioral fields. For track 2, the replication exemplars track, the Common Fund may award up to $50,000 per winner of track 2 with a total of up to 15 winners. Again, these will be identified by the category of submission. All of these submissions will that were selected to win a prize will be featured not only on the Common Fund website, but entrants may be invited to attend a workshop related to research replication. And in this workshop, the winners of this challenge will also be announced there. And so any submissions as mentioned before, any submissions selected as winners of track 2 will all be compiled to be a publicly available resource to provide future replicators with successful strategies. All right, and here is our prize timeline. So our challenge launched on September 22nd, just about 2 months ago. Now we're closing in on the end of the submission period. We have about 3 to 4 weeks to collect our submissions, as it lasts until December 13th. Then there's a bit of a pause, holidays, people getting back into the swing of things, and then judging will be held in February 2026. And then the winners will be announced in March, on March 13th, 2026. So who is eligible to participate? You must be at least 18 years old. And the prize is open to folks submitting as an individual, as private entities, and then as teams. What this means is that for individual applications, those applicants must be a US citizen or permanent residence. In the case of a private entity submitting an application, they must be incorporated in the US and maintain a primary place of business in the United States as well. Teams, on the other hand, they can be comprised of US and non-US citizens. However, the team must be led by a US citizen or a permanent resident. So, non-US citizens and permanent residents are not eligible to win the monetary prize, but they are allowed to participate as members of a winning team and will be recognized when results are announced. Thank you. If you would like to apply to track 1 and submit your idea on a really interesting, impactful area of research, you need to produce 2 documents. One document is a research question description. This is where you pose a scientific research question with the potential for significant impact on public health that could really benefit from further study, either direct replication or pushing some of those ideas to extend that idea a little bit further. So this submission should not only identify which area of science that this idea falls in, it needs to describe the rationale and the impact that answering this question will have. And if you have other ideas on potential strategies to answer this question, that is also welcome in this 1,000 word paper that we are asking you to submit. So again, that strategy is an optional component, but would be very useful to the team in understanding the idea. The second piece of documentation that we ask entrance to track 1 to submit is a one-page bibliography where you identify publications that support this argument. We are asking entrants to identify at least at least I thought we had a limit of at least 5. We do not, but there's some limitations on this bibliography. These articles cannot come from a single journal, and we would accept no more than 2 papers from the same research team. But that said, these are not limited to publications from peer-reviewed literature. We welcome reviews and commentaries as supplementary information, gray literature that supports arguments like blog posts or social media posts or other editorials that can justify the research question are welcome, but they are not the primary supporting documentation. So we do need that bibliography of some peer-reviewed material to explore that research question. And I believe that is all on this. Yes. Okay, so this will be judged based on 3 different criteria. The first one, the understanding of the research question. How well have the entrants justified this question? Can they show that there is a demonstrable potential for impact? What areas of public health will answering this question impact? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it focusing on a small area of research, or is it more interdisciplinary in nature that will affect a lot of disciplines? All that information will be considered to see how much this small idea can create change. Another piece of information we are looking for is how clear the submission is. Is it well organized? Is the argument well articulated? All these items are things we are looking for track 1. Now we will explain track 2. I'll turn this over to you, Michelle.
Great, thank you, Alicia. So track 2, recall, as Alicia mentioned earlier, that the objective is to recognize and reward entrants who have creatively integrated replication into their research practice and or within their institution. And so what we are looking for is a 5,000 word limit application that has the following 7 components. I'm going to do a brief yet dramatic reading directly from the announcement to go into a little bit more detail about what each of these components means. And so the first is the replication strategy, where you're describing activities that were integrated into research practice. We really want to know about the methods teams used to evaluate outcomes. What were some of the innovative methods used? We'd also would like the entrants' working definition of replication when the strategy was implemented, appreciating that how one defines replication depends on the discipline, on the sub-discipline, on the day of the week. And so that everyone is understanding from the same, the reviewers are understanding from the same point, we would like for the entrant to define what replication meant or means when they were conducting their work. Now, the section must identify 1 or more categories that the research falls under. So that would be basic research, translational, preclinical, clinical, and social and behavioral. Definitions for those different types of scientific disciplines will be available with the application description materials. We also want to know about the environment. So what was the context? Where did the activities occur? Was it within an organization? Was it in an institution? How long did it take? What expertise was needed? And what were the roles and responsibilities of each team member for each activity? We also would like to know how federal, organizational, or institutional funds supported this effort and when they were granted relative to when the replication activities took place. Regarding impact, we'd want to know what happened as a result of replication activities. For example, comparing pre and post replication activities, or metrics rather. If it's applicable, describe the long-term impact. How did these activities improve research rigor and the value and trust in research activities? We also want to know how the activities have been disseminated, either locally or more broadly. Response to barriers. Self-explanatory. Surely barriers will have been encountered. We want to know what they were and how they were overcome. These barriers could be at any level of the organization, either within the team or where the implementation occurred within the community, etc. Time and budget. We want to find out how long this took from planning to execution. And also, what were the resources required? And to make sure that it's clear, we're not asking for a budget as if you were applying to conduct the activities. For example, asking about salary and subcontractors, not at all. This is work that's already been done. And so this is really to give us a sense, how much does it cost to do these types of activities? Collaboration, again, I think that's self-explanatory, where you talk about any of the necessary partnerships that you had, or maybe you should have had in retrospect, to successfully engage and implement the replication activities. We want to know then also how the partnerships were leveraged. Were there any new partnerships that formed as a result of these replication activities? And finally, sustainability or transferability. So were there any sustainability plans that were written or put into place or put into place? Would these plans be scalable, or could they be applied in different contexts, different research disciplines? Are there any other replication activities or events that may have sprouted from that initial successful strategy? And anything you might want to incorporate in the future. We have the next slide, please. So the judging criteria for track 2 include the following areas around significance. Did the replication experiment or set of experiments address an important gap in biomedical research replication? Innovation. Does it leverage innovative methods or training approaches or participants? And how or to what extent have the activities increased replication output? Is this or was this a strategy that could be easily disseminated? And then importantly, we want to know about feasibility, getting again to the issue around scalability and what that might look like. Next slide, please. And so how to enter? We have, or not we, McKinsey, thank you, McKinsey, provided a link to the application materials sponsored by InnoBear, Floor 23. And so you'll see, if you see that icon, you're in the right place. And so that's one way to get to it. You can also visit the replicationprize.com website. And just a reminder that the applications are due by 8 p.m. Eastern Time on December 19th, 2025. Next slide, please. This is a screenshot of what you should see when you enter the website. One kind of cool thing is immediately when you go to the website, there is a pre-recorded webinar that walks through almost the identical slide deck that we're presenting today using a really cool, either, I don't know if they're actors or AI, but they have cool voices. Anyway, and so you can get a refresher on what we described today. So that's on the left, and then the screenshot on the right shows the different areas or sections that you will see that you'll need to complete to go through and submit a full application. So we thank you for your time and welcome any questions.
There are a couple questions in the chat right now. So the first one is, can people apply as an individual or do they have to go through their institutions?
Yes, you can absolutely apply as an individual. There was one qualifying detail that Alicia had mentioned about, let me just get it right now. So you have to be a US citizen or a permanent resident. So as long as you are that, please apply as an individual.
Great. There's another question in the Q&A, that basically asked, would the following papers about detecting data leakage issues in machine learning publications be appropriate for the replication exemplar application? And then there are two examples, so with the titles.
Could you repeat again what the area was?
Sure. So would the following papers about detecting data leakage issues in machine learning publications be appropriate for the application? So the two titles were, in the AI science bloom, beware, your results are only as good as your data. Machine learning systems are voracious data consumers, but trustworthy results require more vetting both before and after publication.
So if I'm understanding correctly, and please colleagues jump in if I'm not, is that sounding like something for track one? Unless I'm not understanding the question.
If the person who posted it wants to actually unmute themselves and ask directly, we have definitely time for that. If you wanted to, Hunter, if you're on.
The question, he actually, or she mentions replication exemplar, which is the track 2.
Yeah. You can look in the Q&A if you want to see more details, Michelle.
So if you're still there, Hunter, I think one thing I would say is for the replication exemplars, I'm not sure if you, it looks like you are the author of those papers. Okay, so yes, if you have done this work in a strategy to improve the robustness, the rigor, the replicability of research work, then yes, basically, if you can look at those judging criteria and effectively answer all those questions, then it does seem like something that you can consider. Michelle, I see you nodding. Do you want to add anything?
No, nothing to add. Thanks for the clarification. I didn't understand the context. So yeah, absolutely agree.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you. We did this work and we demonstrated 4 publications using the same data set had a horrible catastrophic data leakage problem in the data set that greatly inflated the performance of their results. That actually caused one paper to go through not a retraction, but a errata republication to fix. And then I tried to get IEEE journal. I actually suggested retraction there because the authors had not provided enough of their data code and results for us to detect the problem directly in their publication, which means that you couldn't scientifically reproduce the results. So in that instance, we actually recommended retraction, but the journal decided not to do a darn thing. because the results we show unequivocally, the results are erroneous. And this is basically replication after publication. That's the plus one directly shows it. The Nature article describes it and then talks about the separate, when is retraction versus errata the most appropriate. And we argued that retraction should only be when they don't properly support scientific reproducibility, because that stuff is insidious. That could stay in the public record for a very long time.
Well, based
And
on
that's so. All right, I think I may write this up. It's 5,000 words.
That's correct, 5,000 words. And what you're describing, Hunter, sounds like it's quite well aligned with what we're looking for. And it's addressing an important policy issue, downstream policy issue, which, as you all know, is very, very much tied to how we go about this culture change and what kinds of steps are needed or need to be considered.
And that's what we were arguing, that if they're supporting full scientific reproducibility, providing their data, code results, and you find a flaw, that means that they need to publish an errata, don't retract. That's not appropriate. They did the right things. It's those that are trying to basically prevent reproducibility that really need the retraction hammer. Anyway, I'll stop there.
Thank you for the question. All right, there is one other, or actually there's a couple in the chat. So the first one says, can people apply to one of track 1 or track 2 or both? And then do the track 1 and track 2 applications have to be related in any way? Thank you.
I can take this one. You can apply to both. You just cannot submit say 2 submissions to track 1 or 2 submissions to track 2. You cannot do that, but you can submit 1 to track 2 and or 1 to track 1. And these applications, the subject matter does not have to be related. We are not linking these entries together, so they will be evaluated separately.
Great, thank you. The next question says, can a person be involved in more than one team? Thank you.
I don't see why not. We hadn't really thought about that, but
yeah, there's no limitation on that. Yep, that's right.
Great. And then the next one says, you had mentioned that people can choose to apply to one or both tracks. Do we go through the application process twice? Can I, as an individual, submit multiple times for either track? So some of this was answered, but some of it, yeah.
Each submission will require a unique action. So you'll have to click on, to submit to track 1, and then you separately have to submit to track 2. But you, as an individual, only have to register once as a participant.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments? If you want to unmute yourself, please feel free to raise your hand. I can also have you ask questions that way as well. Okay, another question. Is there a processing time on the submission? How long should it take to fill out the submission for planning ahead purposes, basically?
This will be a lot easier than any NIH application that you've done before. This is really, we don't actually have and I don't have a number for you in terms of time. But you're basically, as Alicia had mentioned before, I'm going to get my slide open again, but you're submitting 2 documents for track 1, and track 2 is just one 500-word report. So it shouldn't take too long. We give you until 8 p.m. on that date of December 19th. But, if you want to give yourself a couple days just to make sure it goes through, that's probably good practice. But it shouldn't be an extensive process.
Yeah, to underscore what Sahana just said, this is not a grant. It's not a grant, and anyone can apply. You don't have to have a specific credentials. You don't have to be affiliated with a specific institution or an institution. You could be an eager citizen scientist who wants to apply. So you don't have those kinds of restrictions, sponsored research offices, and 45 people need to sign it first. None of that. You just go right into the system and apply.
Great, thank you. Noelle, did you have a question? I saw your hand was raised earlier.
No, I was just gonna add a comment, but it was addressed actually. It's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, I will give it a few more minutes to see if we have any other questions from the audience.
If additional questions do happen to come up, there is an area on the site where you could submit questions. And Alicia has just been incredible with staying on top of that. So as soon as a question comes in, she triages them so we can answer them.
Great. Okay, if there are no other questions, I think, oh, let's see. Okay. Can you put the link to submission requirements in the chat?
Sure, we can do that.
In the one Mackenzie shared a little bit further above at 125.53, that link will take you to the website where all of that submission information is there. And where it's not, it indicates where you can find it. So that'll be a good place as like a launch pad for you. Thank you, Michelle.
Sure. Yeah, I just pasted it again right at the bottom of the chat for ease of access.
And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out to us as well. We can forward those questions along if need be, if that's an option as well. So.
Absolutely. Thank you. We'd love to get your questions as they come up. We'd love to see your submissions. So please share the word too.
Awesome. Well, it looks like there's no other questions. So I think we can end a little bit early. I just want to say thank you so much for presenting this opportunity. As we had said earlier, if you want to share this webinar recording with colleagues afterwards who might be interested in applying, we will have this for you and for other members of your organization. Just for some housekeeping, we are this is a final webinar for 2025. So thank you all for joining us throughout the year. Our next session will be on January 30th, 2026. So happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays. Thank you again so much to our speakers from the NIH. And again, if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.